Even though Logic comes with an excellent selection of instruments, I tend to customize many of the instruments I use the most, in some cases creating them from scratch. So my 3 videos will all relate to tweaking instruments, creating custom drum kits, adding features to EXS instruments, and in this first video, setting up options for general playability. As a keyboard player, I use a full 88-note weighted piano keyboard in my setup, so I utilize Logic's options for tweaking MIDI velocity response to suit the weighted response to adapt instrument response to either my personal touch as a player or another player's touch, or to compensate for a velocity response from a particular keyboard controller that doesn't suit the sound. In Logic, this can be easily done globally or for specific instruments or tracks for both live playing and to compensate for already recorded MIDI performances. Let's say I have a MIDI recording of a dynamic instrument like drums or, say, a piano. Maybe it was recorded with a particular sampled piano, but I decide to switch to a different piano instrument. I might just prefer a different piano sound, or if I was collaborating with another producer, they might have used a third-party piano I don't have on my system. Either way, when I choose a substitute piano, sometimes I might find that the velocity response of the new piano is different enough from the one the MIDI performance was recorded with to make the performance sound different in a negative way, possibly less dynamic or too heavy-handed. There are several ways I could address this in Logic. Assuming I didn't have the time or patience to go into the piano roll editor and tweak individual note velocities by hand, I could change the dynamics of the performance non-destructively from the region inspector. Here there are 2 velocity parameters that are applied to the notes in a selected region in real time, in playback, without permanently changing the actual note velocities in the region. The velocity parameter is a simple offset. It adds or subtracts the same amount to all velocities in the region. If the substitute instrument consistently sounds like it's being played too hard or too soft, this could be an easy solution. But it's more likely I'd have to change the response curve. The loudest and softest values may be fine, but the velocity response in between may need to be changed so velocities near the middle of the 0 to 127 range trigger notes with the desired loudness, brightness, and attack, better preserving the intended dynamics of the performance. Opening up the More tab reveals the other velocity parameter, dynamics. This compresses or expands the velocities of notes around the center velocity value of 64. A setting of 100 passes through velocity values as is. Settings below 100 compress velocity values around 64, reducing higher velocities and increasing lower ones. Values above 100 expand them, increasing higher velocities and decreasing lower ones, up to the limits of 0 and 127, of course. You can combine the dynamic setting with a static velocity offset from the velocity parameter to scale the response of the MIDI notes to suit the velocity response of the new instrument. You do have to do it by ear, so there'll be a bit of trial and error, but sometimes this can do the trick, restoring the dynamics of the performance, at least to some degree, with the replacement instrument.